Mulan and The Waiting Room are both performances that discuss the experiences and roles of women in various cultures and historical contexts. Although The Waiting Room does so implicitly and Mulan does so explicitly, they both reach the same conclusion that women do not have to follow the expectations set by those around them.
Must be swift as the coursing river, with all the force of a great typhoon, with all the strength of a...
In Gender Trouble, Judith Butler talks about gender as a societally perpetuated concept, stating that the action of gender requires a performance that is repeated, and that this repetition legitimizes a set of meanings already socially established. The concept of social repetition leading then to a fixed definition of gender and gender expectations can clearly be seen in both The Waiting Room and Mulan. There are a few expectations that are enforced by the culture and community that surrounds the women in both performances. Marriage is viewed as an ideal and imposed upon both Mulan and Wanda. In The Waiting Room, Wanda's mother influences Wanda to get married by age 40.
Well, you see, I made this bet with my mother 5 years ago after reading an article she sent me while I was getting my pap smear. It says that my chances of getting married by 40 are not as good as my chances of getting killed by a terrorist. So, anyway, I bet my mother that I would beat the odds, and I went to work.
Well, you look fantastic.
Yeah? Well, you see, I saw this modeling expert who said you should divide your body up into parts, go over with a magnifying glass, whatever you could fix, you should fix, and everything else you should just cover up.
In Mulan, honor is repeatedly tied to marriage, something that is continuously suggested by Mulan's family, the matchmaker, and the other women in the community.
Men want girls with good taste, calm, obedient, who work fast-paced, with good breeding and a tiny waist. You'll bring honor to us all.
To please your future in-laws, you must demonstrate a sense of dignity. You are a disgrace! You may look like a bride, but you will never bring your family honor!
In contemporary times, a study of modern Orthodox Jewish women found that women were likely to feel social pressure to marry from the religious community, family, and friends, and that feeling that pressure was a great predictor of anxiety and depression. All of these scenarios portray the idea of marriage as an expectation perpetuated and enforced by the community that surrounds the women involved. Another expectation is beauty. In The Waiting Room, beauty is a requirement for all women, usually as a result of cultural expectation. One example is forgiveness' culture, which dictates that foot binding makes a woman beautiful and desirable.
Mothers say to me, forgiveness from heaven. Today is lucky day by the moon. Today we start the binding.
I see. Why?
Makes me pretty for future husbands.
In Mulan, a standard of beauty is consistently placed upon all the women by their parents, and particularly by the men in the community.
That's what I said. A girl worth fighting for. I want her paler than the moon, with eyes that shine like stars.
Too skinny.
Recent theory by MIT mentions about how current discourse through reality TV and websites suggests an idea of beauty that is tied to plastic surgery, which in turn causes women to seek out such cosmetic procedures. All these examples demonstrate the expectations of beauty placed upon women and demonstrate how the people and discourse in the society perpetuate those expectations of beauty. Yet another expectation is the lack of education among women. In The Waiting Room, Victoria is forbidden by her husband to read books, and her husband goes on to explain that he believes that her attempting to get an education and attempting to read is what makes her hysterical.
You see, apparently I'm too well educated, and my uterus atrophies commensurately. And according to my husband, my symptoms are only getting worse. I've got all the classic symptoms of ovarian disease: troublesomeness, eating like a plowman, painful menstruation, a desire to learn Greek.
In Mulan, brains and intelligence are rejected by her parents as well as by the men of the society.
Our girl can bring her family great honor in one way, by striking a good match, as this could be the day.
How about a girl who's got a brain, who always always speaks her mind?
Again, these examples show the idea that the expectations about gender norms are set upon women by the culture and perpetuated by individuals that surround the women. Both stories then show a rejection of these expectations. Mulan explicitly challenges gender by taking her father's place and going to war. The women in the waiting room implicitly challenge expectations. Victoria sternly suggests to Oliver that she will take her books with her when she leaves from the hospital. Forgiveness does a dance at the end of the play, symbolizing her freedom. Wanda relates a story about the three women, ultimately suggesting that they all learn to support each other rather than buy into these expectations placed upon them. In both stories, the characters realize that womanhood extends beyond the ways others expect women to act. They both suggest to their audiences the impact that societal expectations can have on individuals and highlight that this does not have to be the case.
With all the force of a great typhoon, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious and